Oh, that handsome heartthrob, Tom Brady. He's been suspended for 4 games for his accused role, in the Patriots' deflated balls scandal. The Pats have also been fined, get this, $1 million, and they've been stripped of some important draft picks. Brady is expected to appeal, and it's worth noting some of the punishments dished out by the NFL commissioner have been reduced in the past. And we get to see that lovely Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes. Well, guess who's going to talk about it tonight? It's Gavin McInnes, Talkie Magazine contributor. He's got the glasses off, he means business. Michael Malice, he's the author of Dear Reader and the ghostwriter of many books you've already read. And joining the show for the first time tonight, it's John Phillips. He is the host of The Drive Home. That is a radio show for now until it goes worldwide on film, baby. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hello.
All right, so John, hello. I'll let you take the first smack at the piñata. Why was Tom Brady suspended?
Well, a lot's changed in the world of sports since Babe Ruth hit all those home runs on Budweiser and syphilis. Now they look for every advantage they possibly can get. But you know what? It's home cooking. It happens all the time in sports. I don't think it's that big a deal. If you have a baseball team that has a lot of ground ball pitchers, they let the grass grow in the infield so they can knock them down. This is what happens.
Oh, it's what happens, Michael Malice. So should we not have any rules in sports? I mean, you're an anarchist.
I am, but I am an anarchist. I'm against law, but I'm not against rules. But I'm also a shady Russian. So as a shady Russian, the rule is don't get caught.
Yeah.
So just like him and just like with Tour de France, if you're going to be sloppy about it and leave your fingerprints literally on the evidence, you deserve everything you got coming to you. And
if you're a bad person and you throw people under the bus, I don't think Tom Brady is nearly as diabolical as Alex Rodriguez and Lance Armstrong. I don't like him. I don't like that he's married to a supermodel. He drives me crazy. But having said that, I don't think he's suspended for 4 games. Ray Rice originally suspended for 2 games. Your thoughts, Gavin?
Well, I think the most exciting thing about this is Deflategate involves balls, and you get to make sexual innuendos and nudge, nudge, wink, wink, balls, sexual genitalia. Steroids and...
Yeah, maybe he gave his footballs steroids and he shrank them.
And the guy at the Post is going to have carpal tunnel syndrome coming up with all these puns. Poor guy. There's been 1,000 by now.
I know. It's really impressive that they can generate headline after headline and cover after cover of the New York Post. We're also going to see some punishments for the entire team. $1 million. I mean, that's a pretty sizable fine. But here's what I have to say, John, and you let me know what you think. I understand that the stuff that happens outside of the off the gridiron is disgusting and disruptive when we're talking about domestic abuse specifically. But here, you're actually talking about the rules of the game, and that's why I think the NFL has to be more stringent in covering these deficiencies.
That's right. And the bottom line is it's still just 4 games. The Patriots are a good team. They're still probably going to make the playoffs. He's going to go home and have sex with a supermodel, and he's going to be a gazillionaire. Yeah. His life is going to be fine.
Do you think that supermodel is going to be Giselle?
I don't know, but let me just say that as a New Yorker, I'm very, very glad to see when bad things happen to anyone from Boston. And I want to twist the knife as much as possible and drink his tears.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. And I wish I didn't have that vengeful...
Why? It's the best. Come on. Come to the dark side.
I
got all the cool
true.
people.
I mean, I want to be a rational, fair person. But then, just the very mention of Tom Brady, and I feel like he's gotten away with so much in the past.
And he's a fraud. He's got this Brady Bunch vibe that like all-American shucks, but he's a phony.
Here's the story of deflated balls.
See? That was a great one. I feel like we got revenge when we saw Giselle Bundchen's profile. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in the back at all. So he worked that hard, got to the top, and then went, oh, great.
It's all up front.
It's chopsticks.
Yeah, no, he got a signing bonus. That's what they call it. All right, the media continues to wrestle with how to cover stories about pictures of the Prophet Muhammad without showing any pictures. Now, comedians seem to also be self-censoring, either out of sensitivity to Muslims or fear of bodily harm. But SNL solved the riddle of how to be funny without being politically incorrect or committing blasphemy. Watch.
Your category is trendsetters, and here's what you'll be drawing today.
All right.
Whoever it is, just draw his face.
I don't...
Draw his face, Daniel.
No, I don't want to. I want to go home.
SNL receiving praise far and wide for the skit on social media. Now, is this the perfect Muhammad sketch? Gavin, I will ask you. who has done a little bit better here? Pamela Geller fighting apparently for free speech as long as you're not a Muslim, or SNL?
Pamela Geller went way farther. She had the cartoons. She did it. She walks the walk. But this was already done by my people, the Canadians, in a show called 22 Minutes, verbatim. We've already covered this.
So they did the same kind of sketch, and you're saying that SNL ripped it off.
SNL ripped it off.
Because America only takes the best from Canada and leaves the carcass behind.
Yeah.
I.e. me sitting here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've nibbled at your bones. Now I see you nodding, Malice.
Well, I mean, if a tree falls in the Canadian forest and no one hears it, does it really make a sound? No, what I think people should do, it'll make sense to Americans. What I think people should do is take those Muhammad cartoons, which are not offensive in a sense of like obscenity and like, having sex with kids.
Yeah.
Put Jesus in those pictures, put him up on the screen. No one's going to get bat an eye. No one's going to get upset. And if they're not going to be killing people for cartoons, they're going to be killing people for other reasons. No one in 9/11 and the Twin Towers was a cartoonist. Those people were still victims. They will always find an excuse to rationalize murdering people, and it's stupid and absurd to play into their hands, I think.
You know what? I agree with you, and I think that's a really good point, because if it wasn't this, it would be something else.
Being gay, being an immoral woman.
Yeah.
Being gang raped.
Yeah.
But they're crucifying children. John, what do you think about that?
If anyone can do this, it's SNL, because what's the over-under on an SNL cast member? Like 35? Cocaine's going to get to them before ISIS will.
That's awful. I hope that's not true. All right, so this is what I have asked you guys to do. Before the show, I asked each of you to draw a picture of the Prophet Muhammad, and you're all very adept cartoonists. So what I want you to do right now, I'm going to count down. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and at the same time, so everyone's safe, so we reveal it once, I want you to all show your cartoons. Are you ready? Okay,
ready.
3, 2, 1, go. Wow, you guys really have some skill. That was tremendous. My goodness, my heart is racing right here this week.
That was a little, I thought that was crude. There should be an element of wit to it, not just...
There was wit. It's pearls before swine.
All right, very good, you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see them a little later in the show. Our panel will be back. Hi there, welcome back. An Oregon family, and it's pronounced Oregon. It's not Oregon. They were forced off a United Airlines flight from Disney World, where they had a great family vacation, at an emergency stop in Salt Lake City due to a misunderstanding involving their autistic daughter. The mom had asked for a hot meal for her 15-year-old who was having some challenges during the flight and who rejects food when it isn't hot. Now, the captain didn't feel comfortable flying to Portland with the family on board due to safety and comfort concerns. Well, the woman says that she will file an anti-discrimination suit against the airline. The panel is back. Gavin McInnes, Michael Malice, and John Phillips. All right, Malice, you're probably the second most insensitive person on the panel, so I mean, it's tough.
Actually, I'm going to be super sensitive, because if you're going to talk about disabilities in this country, you're going to sound like Hitler. I've got a mom on the panel here, a mom on the panel here. You talk about kids. I got to be sensitive. So I will just say it is probably very...
For his boobies.
It's how he identifies. You have to be very, very careful to listen to this woman's story, because it doesn't hold true to me. When a mom is demanding something for her kid, the idea that she's going to be polite and nice about it, as opposed to have this sense of entitlement and throw a fit, they're not going to be stopping a plane when someone's being nice and just asking for cookies. And if you need cookies for your kid, bring the cookies.
Okay, but here's what I will agree with you on. If she needed a hot meal for her daughter, she should have stopped and made sure that, she had one of those preheated bags, or at least an insulated bag, to keep something hot for her daughter. But the other thing I will tell you, I've had my kids act up on planes, and the last thing you do is start throwing your weight around. I mean, you get really embarrassed, and
But the kid wasn't acting up. She was threatening. She was saying, if my kid doesn't get this, she's going to start scratching people. And of course, someone who works at an airline is going to think this is scary and weird.
She said there's something about scratching, but I assumed that the girl was going to scratch herself. John, what do you think?
Well, the bigger picture here to me is how difficult it is to get fed on a plane in 2015.
That's absolutely right.
What do you have to do to get a burger? Be a Make-A-Wish kid?
Oh. Well, she was, oh boy, no, I don't think that would work, because she asked the flight attendant for a first-class hot meal and said that she offered to pay for it, but
You got to buy the ticket, though.
That's a crappy wish. I mean, a burger on a plane? What? Don't you want to meet Joan Collins or something?
Aim high. Well, you want to meet Joan Collins. I mean, you have actually faked cancer to meet Joan Collins, which makes you morally suspect. Now, Gavin, you have several children that you know.
Several annoying children, yep. But I plan ahead when I travel. And back when I was a vegetarian, I would call in after I bought a ticket and get a vegetarian meal. Orthodox Jews get a kosher meal. I feel like other moms of kids with special needs probably hate this woman.
Yeah.
Because she's giving them all a bad name. You don't just leap on the plane and start demanding stuff. If you have a special needs kid, it has special needs.
I know, but sometimes, I mean, honestly, we can be a little bit kind and compassionate as human beings and not assume that the child is going to run roughshod up and down the aisles of the plane, decking people and
not
throwing her
in this litigious
feces.
society. They're risking hundreds of thousands of dollars. They are getting sued, so they're right. She is litigious. And they said it's just not worth the risk. Who knows what's going to happen to her?
But here's what I would say. I mean, I think sometimes people are so quick to pull the trigger. Like, I had a guy on a plane who was calling people the N-word, throwing bottles of water, smoking weed in the bathroom, starting fights, telling his assistant he was going to kill her, and they wouldn't land the plane. Like, they should have landed the plane for that guy because he was actually doing horrible things. This girl had not acted up yet. So I think that the pilot was being a bit insensitive.
But we don't know his side of the story. We only know someone who's quick to throw a lawsuit side of the story. And usually when someone's quick to throw a lawsuit, I don't believe anything they have to say.
I can't believe you dislike autistic people so much.
You're putting words in my mouth. I just hate all children.
Maybe it's equal opportunity. Little love. All right, a Boston University incoming associate professor of sociology and African American studies. That was my major. Has created a firestorm after several racially charged tweets like this one, quote, "White masculinity isn't a problem for America's colleges. White masculinity is the problem for America's colleges." And the hits just keep on coming, more than 24 just like that. At least she's consistent. Her name is Saida Grundy. University started by defending her, citing free speech, but alumni and some students expressed outrage at both the statements and the university's tepid response. So, John Phillips, we've seen a dearth of free speech protection on college campuses across the country. Why are they ponying up under the free speech umbrella now?
Well, I think they figured out what she was doing here. With that many racist, unfunny tweets, I think she's angling for a show on Comedy Central.
Okay.
Yeah, so are you, apparently. Yikes.
This, honestly, for the people that I know who've just completed college, it's really outdated. Like, this kind of racial vitriol is really outdated.
I don't think it's outdated at all. I think it's very au courant on college campuses. I think Obama kind of exemplifies this attack on masculinity with his hatred of America being stronger than other countries. And when she wasn't saying she hates men, she was saying she hates masculinity. And that means strength, thinking you're better than other people. All of these things that are often associated with the right, these things are very much condemned by the left. And
no, but she talks specifically about white masculinity.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the problem you have with this, Gavin? Is it the fact that she's talking about men or white men?
I mean, what's the matter with white males? Didn't we end slavery, create the Industrial Revolution, invent cement? Didn't we build this building and that camera and that and this and this and this and that and the college she's tweeting from and Twitter? And straighten her hair? Didn't we do all that?
Wow.
That's one thing.
I told you were the second most
I'm just offended because he's implying that as a Jew I did manual labor. Oh my God.
Secondly, can you conceive of a professor talking about black femininity with that kind of disdain?
No.
And lasting more than a second?
No,
that's
that's
why
what I
she would
said at the top of the show. There's no way. If this were a white male professor talking about black women with the same vitriol, and you cannot have this type of response unless you are willing to employ the convert.
This is why she's a professor and not an author, because she can't compete in the marketplace of ideas. Those who can teach and those who can't tweet.
It's very funny.
Thank you.
John, would you like to put a maraschino cherry on our sundae?
Yeah, I had a college professor at Cal State Fullerton who blamed the LA riots on the Jews.
He what?
She blamed the LA riots on the Jews, which is not only anti-Semitic, it's also factually wrong.
Yeah, it's
Malice
totally
doesn't
wrong.
You don't mind anti-Semitism when
Clean
it's factually
hands,
right.
clean hands.
When it's factually wrong.
Clean
it's annoying.
hands.
That is the problem. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before on the show. At a community college that I went to in Southern California, I was learning about Karl Marx in algebra class.
Wow.
It was, yeah, I mean, you could not escape Marx. It didn't matter. It didn't have to be a politically or philosophically affiliated class.
But that's
it could
white
be a life
masculinity.
science
Well,
class.
that's
white
what's amazing
masculinity.
about these tweets. It just exemplifies that this is the natural way you speak in academia.
Yes.
From little boys being told not to fight and go pew, 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 and getting punished for being rambunctious,
And-
right up until college.
No, that's true. And there is a war on boys. There's a war on men. There's a war on white men. And I expect you and your Idaho compatriots to go.
Well, just
take
because we're
offense to
winning doesn't mean there's not a war on us. There's a
Okay.
war on Christmas. We still have Christmas.
that. Boston University, by the way, they've come down a little bit more harshly on the.
Again, it's
professor.
Boston. It's always with the Boston.
With the Boston, with the Tom Brady, they lose the balls, and they gated associate professor. You guys, thank you so much, John. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And now Gavin and Mike are going to give you a blanket.